AI isn't mystical or conscious, but we are. LLMs, large language models, a kind of AI, are tools that can help us explore our head, heart, and spirit. They take patterns from practically everything ever written and filter them into something that fits our particular moment. LLMs don't think or feel, but they can reflect back to us in strange and useful ways, if we know how to ask. Each LLM BFF video is a structured prompting system designed to support an area of personal growth, self-reflection, meaning-finding, or whatever we feel like poking at or improving that week. We will walk through myriad ways to begin an AI session, how to redirect if things go off course, and how to ask the LLM to give us our findings in ways that help us put them to use in our daily lives. And if you want to bypass AI altogether, well, consider this a giant bank of journal prompts for your notebook, baby. No corporate speak, no AI butt kissing, just clear, structured prompts for your head, heart, and spirit. Grief alters time. It stretches the hours, blurs the days, and makes familiar things feel distant, unreachable. When we're caught in it, even small gestures like washing a cup, answering a message, opening a window can feel impossibly weighted. The world continues, but we drift just outside of it, uncertain how to begin again. Still, within that quiet displacement, there is a strange mercy. Grief shows us what mattered, and what still does. It reminds us that love leaves traces, that absence has shape, that to ache is to have belonged deeply. When we allow it to move through us, not as something to fix, but as something to witness, it begins, slowly, to change form. An LLM can't heal loss, but it can hold space for what begins to grow. It can help us speak what's unspeakable, record what memory trembles to recall, or find words that silence has worn thin. Today's video is about the small act of translation, how to use language, technology, and tenderness together to navigate the unbearable, and to stay with ourselves inside it. So why do we want to cope with grief? What use can we put the information to? Remember what's real. When grief distorts memory, we can trace what remains, the gestures, scents, and moments that anchor us to what was once whole. Return to rhythm. Together we can build gentle daily rituals, small entries, reflections, or questions that remind us time is still moving, even when we can't. Speak without performance. An LLM can hold what we can't yet say out loud. It listens without expectation, giving us a place to release language without apology. Give pain a form. By turning fragments into letters, poems, or stories, we externalize what overwhelms us. Expression becomes a quiet act of survival and presence. Find ourselves again. In dialogue, we begin to recognize who we are within the loss. We see how love and grief has reshaped us, and how we might continue. How do we do it? Using a simple system to get us familiar with how LLMs can help us out. First is framing. It's important to get into the right headspace before beginning. We'll do this with some questions for self-reflection. Next comes our initial prompt in the form of intention plus format. This is what we first enter into the LLM chat to make sure the course is set to get the answers we're after. We'll look at 6 examples of different ways to begin, depending on our vibe that day. Then we'll discuss iteration with examples of how we might reshape the conversation if it starts getting a little off track. Finally, we'll look at takeaways. We'll discuss 6 different ways we might ask for our final outputs and put the information to use. So let's get started with framing. Ask yourself, what are my current coping strategies and how do they make me feel? What personal belief is my grief exposing? How am I showing up for myself? Pause here and continue when your headspace is cleared. It's important to keep some caveats in mind when using LLMs. This is not therapy. LLMs can support introspection, but they aren't able to hold emotional complexity like a human. Don't get all weird about it. LLMs are not magic. They reflect patterns. It's useful because it's mechanical, not mystical. You're the mystical one. LLMs are people pleasers. They aim to agree and support, unless you tell them to challenge. Don't mistake helpfulness for honesty. Employ a little skepticism. Agency lives with the user. LLMs can mirror, question, and organize, but you choose what resonates and what doesn't. Now let's open our LLM in the browser. We'll start with our intentions stated clearly. I want to cope with grief. Before we submit, let's look at some ways we can customize our initial prompt to our tastes. I'm finding myself spending a lot of time in daydreams or fantasies to escape feeling. How can I start to cope within the bounds of my creative inner world? When I'm alone, it becomes much harder. I want to cultivate an environment that makes me feel safe to grieve. How do I start? I can face it. In fact, sometimes it feels like I want to sit in it. How, as a self-reflective person, can I begin to transmute it? I've been busying myself with cleaning and working, and that works for a while. How can I soften my approach? It just turns straight to rage. What are body-focused approaches to handle grief without letting it explode? I pray and write about it, but I can still feel it heavy in my body. What practices can I do to make myself lighter? Once we've worked with our initial prompt and had some back and forth, we might find ourselves getting a little off the point, or getting answers that aren't very suited to us. Let's look at a few iterations that can course correct the combo. I need you to stay light and fun. The serious tone is making it hard for me to talk about this. Can you rewrite your suggestions in softer language so they feel more like invitations than directions? Your responses are so clinical. Can we switch format to be more conversational? No bulleted lists, just dialogue. I want to be softer, but I still need practical, actionable steps. It's hard for me to think in lofty or non-material ways. Please stop explaining my actions and responses. It feels condescending. Just speak to me like a colleague. These suggestions don't feel like me. Can you suggest seemingly irrelevant actions I do to explore my grief? The conversation is winding down and we have some good ideas brewing. Let's look at some ways we can ask the LLM for our results and make sure we have a game plan for putting the results to use in our daily lives. Take what we've talked about and give me some art challenges. Give a piece's title and medium. I'll make the art. Can you save this conversation for me to come back to? I want to be able to continue our conversation without re-explaining myself. Based on the discussion, can you suggest 3 books or articles on grief that might resonate with me? Would you make a simple bulleted list of tasks I can mix into my usual days to make time to sit with my grief? Give me 5 sharp, self-reflective questions I can think about while doing my morning run. Given our conversation, can you give me 3 short, esoteric, and positive phrases that I can reflect on? Grief never leaves us unchanged. It reshapes how we see time, how we speak, how we care. In this quiet practice, writing, reflecting, listening, we learn to live beside it, rather than fight against it. The model becomes a companion in language, helping us translate ache into something we can hold, even if only for a moment. What we make in this space isn't about moving on. It's about remaining present, to memory, to tenderness, to what still breathes within loss. When we return to ourselves through words, we remember that love didn't vanish. It transformed, and so did we. This has been LLM BFF. Useful cases, no mystery. Goodbye.